Hello, my name is Mark Rich. In this video, I'll give an overview of a series that will explain a unique form of oppression appearing worldwide. Although it has many names, basically it consists of persecution by a large number of citizens, advanced surveillance and communications technology, and directed energy weapons. Before I tell you what this series will include, let me briefly describe my situation. In late 2004, I realized that I was under attack. However, some of the sensations that I have since attributed to directed energy occurred when I was about 17. Furthermore, some dismal events, which I now recognize as planned tactics, started in my late teens, and this may go back even earlier. The hostilities increased when I started to sense what was happening, and they have intensified at different periods since then. What follows is a summary of my status. I receive a never-ending rotation of varying degrees and types of pain induced by directed energy weapons. These strikes leave no visible injury. I'm often hit with negative emotions, such as disgust and anger. My mind is blitzed with repulsive images. I'm exposed to a nearly constant auditory stream of the same phrases repeated in a cyclic mode. All of my personal electronic devices malfunction. The computer network operations include endless computer problems, from the hardware to the internet level. Psychological operations. Insulting and threatening messages are conveyed through a variety of channels. TV and radio signals, data files, and web pages are regularly spoofed with PSYOP messages. The spoofing extends to printed material. I'm swarmed out in public by citizens who accidentally collide with me. Some have blatantly shoved, kicked, and punched me. Group setups and staged accidents. Citizens are colluding to portray me as offensive. They have also conducted staged accidents involving moving vehicles. Area and resource denial. I have been expelled from multiple places, often because citizens alerted security and police after staging a confrontation. My personal belongings are routinely sabotaged. Financial disruption and unemployment. Since October of 2011, I've been steadily homeless. I have a permanent medical injury for which I've been denied genuine medical treatment. I've been electronically isolated from my peers, friends, relatives, and society. After discovering that I was under attack, I started to research and write about this and other topics. I learned there are explanations for most of this, which can be found in papers released by governments, think tanks, defense contractors, and the military. Those documents contain the terminology that I use in my articles to explain this new war form. Some of you may be familiar with two of my books, The Hidden Evil and New World War, published in 2008 and 2011, respectively. This is an issue that spans numerous domains. When exploring it, I made some unexpected discoveries that amazed me. Here's an overview of some of the topics that will be examined in this series. A description of the issue. We'll see how what is happening signifies a new war form that has been created to attack specific individuals and groups worldwide. Controlling faction. We'll have a look at the ponerogenic organizations that are directing this. Profile of a typical targeted individual. Here we'll observe the traits of the individuals they are attacking. Weapons and tactics. The virtually traceless methods that the financial elite are using to neutralize people. Human-Computer Intelligence Network, a supercomputer with artificial intelligence equipped with sensors and directed energy weapons. This global C4ISR system is the critical support structure for modern tyranny. It remotely trains citizens, attacks targeted individuals, and directs battle swarms. Technology. We'll explore the mind-reading machines that are part of the HCIN. Psychopathy and ponerology. In these videos, we'll learn about the psychopaths and their ponerogenic front groups. Purpose. This covert program has several uses, including installation and maintenance of a global government, negative eugenics, social control, and entertainment for influential psychopaths. Civilian warfighters. We'll see how the financial elite are using citizens to destroy what's left of the free world. Complicity percentage. In these videos, I'll provide evidence that the mass base of the civilian population has already been recruited. Obedience. Why the average citizen didn't resist when they encountered this part of the system. What most ordinary people can be made to do, and what citizens all over the world are doing. Average citizen. Here we'll look at some details regarding the peak development of a typical person. We'll learn where most people are on the scale of human evolution, how they are integrated into this defiled society, and what they really value. Cover up. The organizations that have been covering this up for decades. They are the medical system, elected officials, legal system, non-governmental organizations, a rising TI movement, mass media, independent media, and the citizens themselves. What can be done? Ways to expose it based on what I believe to be a proper view of the matter. In this series, I'll be traveling through certain areas of operation while recording the attacks. You'll see just how a host nation's resources are used in a form of warfare that was designed to be concealed in democratic countries. Before that, it will be necessary to exhibit some documentaries which describe the weapons and tactics. Then you'll be able to recognize a covert battle taking place in the civilian sector, which a casual observer would have disregarded. There have been periods when entire countries underwent a process of civil degeneration. Some have described it as a disease, that starts at the top and eventually spreads to every single town. When it happens, there are individuals who manage to inoculate themselves. From their vantage point, they observe their fellow citizens involved in malicious activities. Their solitary testimonies have alerted us to abominations that would have otherwise escaped the historical record. Each successive tyranny was similar to the previous, yet not exactly the same. At first, the new versions were difficult to recognize because of some mysterious attribute. Now we arrive at the premise of my message for you today. This civilization has fallen to a social contamination unlike any we've seen. You will not hear about this on the evening news. The establishments that we rely on to expose such things have predominantly failed us in this realm. When the major institutions which direct societal development are ineffective, the citizens themselves must resolve the issue. Unfortunately, that will be difficult. The modern tyranny features highly advanced technology that reaches literally into the mind of the individual citizen. I've determined that an enormous number of people are already connected to this system. In reality, these electronically constrained citizens do not have the freedom to organize any practical remedy. Furthermore, the extent of complicity makes it obvious to me that many do not have the will or ability to efficiently deal with this. Because of a collective refusal to accept responsibility for this matter, it is now an epidemic. In my opinion, this must be one of the most crucial issues of our time, impacting many societal quarters. The wealthy rulers of this society have used this hidden system of terror with impunity for decades. Many people are still unaware of the origin of their physical and psychological afflictions. Some are being murdered with directed energy that mimics the symptoms of fatal illness. Others are ensnared in the mental health or prison systems. Those who recognize what's happening have an advantage. However, that was not always so. Previously, reports on the weapons and tactics were rare, so those under attack had no solid basis to rationally explain their case. Additionally, even though evidence resided in the behavioral sciences regarding obedience and psychopathy, it wasn't well known. Fortunately, things are quickly changing. There are now many official reports on the weapons and tactics. Some of them explicitly tell us they are being used on citizens. Then there is the social psychology data released in recent decades. In particular, the experiments in journals on obedience. These studies and variations of them have been repeated in multiple countries since the 1960s. The results are broadly consistent. Obedience to a repugnant authority is the norm. By virtue of this information, it seems doubtful that most average people would have resisted this high-tech slavery, especially when their decision to submit was made in secrecy, and they were virtually guaranteed not to be exposed. For at least a century, many notable figures have warned us about a financial elite carrying out a plan of global enslavement. Opinions vary regarding the entities that are ultimately responsible. In my estimation, this appears to be part of a hostile extraterrestrial scheme. Although that may be so, reputable scholars have shown that the upper echelon of this control structure includes organizations that in fact exist. It has also been established that the directing factions of these seemingly benevolent groups are composed of psychopaths. The formalized profile of these characters gives us a clue as to how they've been using host nation resources to attack citizens. There are different beliefs pertaining to the nature of the problem and how to fix it. In this briefing, I won't make any detailed statements on what I think can be done. I will say that the efficiency with which you handle a dilemma is mostly determined by the accuracy of your perspective. Some of us are familiar with historical examples of injustice that, for one reason or another, transcended most of the minds that encountered it. Eventually, it reached principled individuals of certain inclinations who interpreted it differently. They formed a mighty opposition with like-minded people. Then, a civil bane that most others considered insurmountable was brought to light. Perhaps during a future revival, it will be common knowledge that an obscure monstrosity once thrived until a special group of people accepted the bleak task of thoroughly exposing it. This completes the introduction video. Thank you.